Would you talk to the people you're competing against? Would you trust them with the problems that you're facing and the things that you've done that have worked really well? Because if not, then you're nothing like the people who work in IT. I was on the sidelines of the IT Nation Connect event recently, and I met with Greg Lalo, the GM for IT Nation, and he chatted with Ross and I about what makes peer groups, which is obviously getting together with entities facing the same problems as you and your business, to figure out how to do it better. It's a unique environment where everyone's very vulnerable and very honest, and through that, essentially all boats rise. So if you're looking to think a little bit differently about how you learn and grow in your business, this will be a really interesting watch. Greg, GM of IT Nation, I believe is the title.
It is.
It is great. So this is your shindig, this IT Nation Connect 2024 here in Orlando.
Or I call it's our thing.
Our thing. No, it's all you.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. It's awesome to actually be here doing the podcast on the sidelines. So thank you again for getting us involved.
Thank you for being here. Yeah.
What did you want the MSPs who have attended to come away with? Like, what are the key themes this year that you're seeing?
Yeah, look, we kicked off, I think, initially with trying to reinforce strategy for IT Nation. And again, that you'll notice inside the Solution Center and Solution Pavilion, we have 13 different communities that have joined us. There's a communal strategy to expand, podcasters being one of them, right? We got 9 folks, there are 8 here, and I think there's more people walked up wondering why they didn't have a table. There's certainly more podcasters available and media. So we really want to make sure that some of the good work we've been doing now has a broader reach, right? Okay. And bring everybody in. And then we have the ecosystem, right? Just continuing to commit the open ecosystem and reinforce that at every turn, that for those that want to come and contribute, there's a place for you, right? Okay. And then ultimately this fabrication of the resource library. The IT Nation is known for education for 2 decades. This is our 20th anniversary.
Right.
So really pleased about that. And just knowing now that our job is to really double down and make sure that MSPs can get the resources where they need them and when they need them, and they're available. So that's kind of my commitment. Those 3 things to the channel. But the overall arching message was, there's 600 million SMBs out there with loads of problems and gaps, and resources and expertise, and we're here to stand behind everybody to make sure that they get what they need to close those gaps.
Okay. Well, what about you, Russ? Like, what did you hope to get from coming all the way from Australia over here for the event?
Look, it's been you've been coming over for quite a few years now, and so what I've found over the years of coming here is that if you roll a clock back 8 years, it would come here and you were learning a lot about ConnectWise and product. It was not very product. It was a lot of product, and that was the focus. And over the years, it moved more to being a conference for, I guess, business owners and leaders, and more of a leadership conference. But then, more recently, again, obviously the I guess increasing attention on separating IT Nation and ConnectWise somewhat. Obviously, there's a link there. But for me, there's not many opportunities we have, especially in Australia, to be able to sit down with a lot of the partners that we use, the people that we work with closely. And so it's amazing how many problems you can solve or ideas you can come up with when you just grab someone for 30 minutes and have a chat. Over the last couple of years I've probably spent way more time chatting to people in the hallway and in the solutions hall and rearrange meetings than attending some of the sessions and stuff. But still found time yesterday between our podcast recordings to jump into a couple of sessions, right? And so,
and you were here for Evolve, so the week goes by like a blur. The 5-6 days just go by like a blur.
Yeah, and I think I posted earlier, the hardest thing is you kind of go, well, how am I going to get back and do all this stuff? Like, there's just so many things, and that kind of conference kind of overload is a real thing.
Yeah.
What's your suggestion for people that go to these things?
Look, we call it inspiration cliff. People go to these events, they get really geeked up on something, and they get a bunch of ideas, and then you go back Monday and you have a 7-1 issue server down, and it goes to a pile of things that you don't touch, right? That's why, to me, the education online always it has to be there, right? Because the inspiration could be there. Going to be moments of when you do have some availability and bandwidth. And then the other piece what we just kind of created since Secure was that, Scott Scroggin with the Traveler's Journal, really putting a lot of time into, giving these manuals that, again, surveys and statistics will tell you when you write things down, and the different types of learning but to capture those people that you meet and make sure you follow up with them.
Yeah.
If you want a really clear objective and you don't want to lose focus over the course of the week, make sure you really lock on there and you get it there so that you compile it down to something that's manageable and that you can take with you. So we really put a lot of emphasis on it because, again, what you're saying is exactly true. Everybody comes in wonderfully inspired, but we want to push people to be more fun. Accountability is where we all tend to whatever the aspirations to accountability is.
If that can't happen, it's a blocker to I guess realizing the value and offer of these things, right? Like it's got to translate to actions. I was keen to also talk about the evolution of IT Nation. You've been doing a lot of work. I was in a session a couple of months back with you, I think, as well, where you were talking about how you wanted to evolve. So do you want to just touch on that a little bit and, the ecosystem you're trying to build with the community you're trying to build?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ross hit on a little bit. I mean, there was a heavy footprint kind of run through kind of ConnectWise engine, and still, again, there's connectivities there, but there's so many more ideas. There's so much more inspiration that we could bring here. And so I'm really looking for that multiplier effect. And I'm talking about globally. So obviously you guys being here is a huge testimonial, different voices, different accents, and that type of uniqueness, and really encouraging that. So I guess it's just, very much about there's a space for everybody, and we things are going to change. The only thing constant is change. Those things do, whether it be the programs we create, the people we serve, the communities we bring together, the education we then put together. That all changes, and so we're also trying on the website. We're also trying to give maybe like the ISVs, the ecosystem, access to technology has now. They can have access to their own webpage. Yeah. Now we have right to kind of correct it or right of refusal, but if they can create their own content on our site, offload some of the work that we would do, but also much more refreshed more often. So using technology to really our advantage to try to really broaden it out and create something that's backed and bound by the community, right? That they write, create, and contribute. And then I would align it to modes, and you guys know we've talked about that, I'm sure, with Brad, and we've talked about that over and over again. But that's when we figure out the business model and the maturity, the content changes. If you're a startup, you're looking for something, it's gonna be very different the way you run your business and think than if you're an empire builder and you're a platform builder, right? So you have to have the same stuff sometimes written in different styles and different languages to communicate to that owner at that point in time in their journey.
Actually, just reminded me there, I was in a session yesterday, and it was actually Josh's keynote. And I think, I was posting in there some stuff.
But it was phenomenal. Like I said, the guy I thought was amazing.
It was great. And one of the really interesting ones, just touching on the landing pages of the website, was there's already an app that allows you to have essentially unique website versions per customer. So if you already have the details like we do for a number of businesses, you can create their own journey. So they'll go to a version of our website that's specifically tailored to them. So you could only only show the services they're interested in, or the language they use, or the people they have, or whatever. Like you could get or their images, or just whatever. It's kind of it's a very profound idea because there's so many ways you could use it, and depending on the kind of clients you're serving, what their triggers are, what they find value in, all that kind of stuff. So I just thought it just kind of blew my mind to the point that I forgot about it until just now. And so now I've got to think about it.
Add it to that list. One of the things
it's on the list. It's on the list.
Yeah, and the other thing for the folks that are here when you play that, I mean, I know obviously maybe the Australian crowd is less, but for 90 days, all that's available. We've got 5 or 6 rooms that we're streaming. So Josh's keynote and the workshop.
Fantastic.
So even if you missed it, right, the keynote will be online for 90 days. Plus then you can go see maybe again, the whole, I didn't sit in on it, but was to have, partners walk away with a working plan on how to actually go back on Monday. So really enforcing that through, so we talk about that as well. So, maybe there's more workshops, maybe it's more focused on a topic and see it through so that you unpack it in one session. And then you go and you build on the second. So maybe you come out of here with a series or 1 or 2 books of something that you have the working model, because it's a blueprint. The further you can get down and you feel comfortable, the more you get your arms around it.
Yeah, and look, one of the challenges for us is how do we get there's 4 of us over here, which is great that we have been able to bring 4 of us over here. But what about the other 296 that are back in Australia? How do we fill in all the information, give them the information that they need to feel like they were here, and we try in various ways to do that. Obviously, with the virtual pass, we shared that around internally for people to be able to access content themselves. But that's one of the hardest things and maybe exaggerated. Being in Australia, we feel like we're kind of actually able to get that content. But the more we can upskill our entire business on everything that's being discussed here. We I find it hugely valuable, I guess.
Yeah, and that is one of our challenges. With such a big team, is just consistency of opportunity to learn, I guess, and having the platforms. But I love the workshop follow-up post the keynote, and I really wanted to go to that today, but obviously we're here doing this. But the fact that it's online is awesome, because I think I'm actually going to block out some time when I get back to go in deep on a couple of the things he presented, because I do want to be able to use them, and I need the sort of the demo essentially. So
Yeah, and then I think also carry the spirit forward when you go back home to your, not only your team, your large team, but the countrymen. I know you do that well. From the go-giver and teach, and don't be afraid to step up in your respective communities down there to provide that connectivity, that reverse connectivity back down there. Have a social obligation to help rise the tide for everybody in Australia.
Why do you think that our community is a lot more comfortable doing that with our peers than what it seems like? I mean, like I said, it seems almost unusual, probably to some, that how closely we work with competitors sometimes, or other people in our industry. It's a pretty close-knit community.
Yeah, it is, and again, my philosophy in there. I mean, there's business for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody, regardless of what business is, knows they need help. Nobody can do it alone. So you can go at it alone, and there's some people that do never join a community. Never reach out. And I would guarantee you, and Peter Kajal will tell you statistically, that's not the way to go. It's proven financially and statistically that people that join communities and share are going to be more successful. So there's a self-interest in there. It doesn't seem natural, but there's a self-interest in learning and engaging because of so many facets of the business.
Yeah.
And there's no MSP owner school.
No.
There's no, you have varying degrees in technology, of things. And it was always technology, which I always appreciated was like, again, if you're just humble and honest to somebody, you ask them a question, most people will try to make you feel uncomfortable if you don't know the technology or whatever it is, because they know they've been there as well. Whatever technology is, always something new, something they know enough of. So there's always this free exchange of, really tell me like understood this or whatever it is. So I don't know. I think it is a wonderful thing, though. I think it's a magic that, we've had here for a long time, and it's really been the essential part of, I think, how partners get successful.
Yeah, I had a theory yesterday, and I'm going to expand on it, that one of the things that makes this industry unique is the fact that the technology just moves so fast, and therefore one of the most effective ways to, I guess, collectively keep up to pace is to share experiences, ideas, whatever, right? But I'm wondering if that's actually going to become consistent across all business, because AI is driving change and enabling change in so many places that maybe if that is in fact the thing that makes this industry to this point so unique, is actually going to translate more and more to every industry, and therefore to keep pace, to share ideas, to avoid mistakes, people are going to need to really embrace that shared learning.
Yeah, hopefully.
There you go. That's my 2 cents. So look, I guess there's always going to be MSPs there's a lot of MSPs that aren't here, particularly from our market, right? It's a long way to go. Yeah. What would you say to them with your punchy, best sales pitch here to get them over next year? What should?
Well, here's the thing. I'd love for them to join. I know the financial, the time, it exponentially longer time to get here, costly. There's no way getting around that, right? My hope is that there's obviously we put on IT Nation Connect in Australia again. We're pending the contract right now, so we're getting close to that area of getting it locked down to get dates
November?
and all that.
That's
in
November.
August.
August, sorry. Oh, wow, that was that long ago.
So we'll provide value.
It's now. What am I talking about? Sorry.
Yeah.
Carry on. Sorry. I was great.
We'll be providing value locally. I got the streaming for free, so I didn't put any charges on the streaming this year. So if you haven't or connected, like every year, like just if nothing else, watch that, right? Yeah. And again, going back to the theme, like the skills gap and the 5 content tracks I had, they exist everywhere geographically. There's no limitation. So everybody has the same problems, as unique as we think we are. And you want to tell yourself that story by geography and size. Yeah. They're not, and they're the same principles. So we're going to be very be very committed to those principles and that education. And again, hopefully make it consumable. So I'd love people to be here because of camaraderie, the networking, the people, depending upon, again, people make friends for life, have been here for 20 years together coming. And I said, I always love the time, because I think I said this in August, November to May, it's Thanksgiving here in 3 weeks. And you just start getting into that season, right? We're starting to get into that, like, where family gets together to eat and, tell the stories and things like that. And it's always what it's felt like to me, is that this annual pilgrimage, which I said in the keynote, where people come to and, see people they haven't seen all year.
It is just a genuinely good vibe, if I can use the term vibe again, as I do far too much. It's just yeah, there's a lot of people having a lot of fun, all taking it seriously, and like the fact they're here to learn. But there's just it feels like a reunion. It's like it did in Sydney too. It's just people really enjoying seeing each other again. So yeah, buy that.
Yeah.
I know there's obviously IT Nation Secure, which is the security focus. We've got IT Nation Grow now, which is really about sort of, I guess, exiting or transitioning as owners. I mean, we'll talk through any of those, and is there anything else in the works in terms of anything else you're doing?
Yeah, good point. So again, a lot of the focus, obviously, we're here at Connect, so we're talking about that. But Arlen would shoot me if I didn't mention Grow and his Lego hat. But I'll give him his. It's a transition to the transaction. What you see a lot of times on LinkedIn is that picture, and someone's like, "Hey, I sold my business." All the congratulations and all the likes, and you hear about. That's what makes the newspaper or the link, right? The amount of work and time you need to spend to get to that point is what we're really focusing on. We're not in the transaction business. We're not looking for percentages of cuts of people's business. What I want to make sure is they exit well, and that means operationally, financially, legally, that they're set up, and again with Scott's good work, even emotionally, right?
Emotionally. That's the biggest one.
What do you do with your? I know many MSPs, and I won't say their names, but they won't sell their business because they aren't sure what to do afterwards. So, simply for that reason, they don't know what their purpose is. And so those conversations are not one-off, and again, that's the camaraderie of getting together as well, too, right? It's therapeutic when people come and have similar problems and can share and try to find what they can do, what's the pathway forward. So a lot of ex owners that are coming back to the Connect to give back as a way of giving back.
Yeah, that's cool.
In being shepherds for the next generation.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
But yeah, Grow, Secure, and the next one I think what we're working on, we're kind of straddling right now, is again going that as again some of the groups is going to that higher level, the private equity kind of group. There's a lot of money coming in, but they're not educated about the space. So if there's a way to help that link and let that link know and educate them on what the business is all about, how they can help you, what the expectation could be or should be. I think, and that's it. Where are the gaps where we see that something is not quite working, and that's the mission of the IT Nation. So if there's more gaps come about, we've got Automation Nation, there's enough properties, as I call them, the podcast, Pitch It. We just gave away another $100,000 for to an emerging ISV who's entering the market. So we've helped over 100 ISVs over the last 7 years, from 9 countries. So we just have a commitment across the board to the ecosystem, to the communities. Like I said, that's what I love, is the fact that and this is obviously Australia. And Nigel's kind enough, and I'll say thank you. He sent me a thank you note the night before, a good luck note before the event started. Now, again, all fairness, I knew of his name, but I didn't know of him other than to talk to him a couple of times over the last couple of months.
Right.
But what a generous, nice, just kind thing that puts wind in your sails by just an email saying, "Hey, we met down in Australia. Have a great show." He just had his show. So you're rooting for each other, and you realize if you keep strengthening those bonds, think about it. If we keep adding more to a wave, rather than everybody going their own way. So I think that's kind of what I'm thinking about from the sharing when you talk about the IT Nation community as MSPs. What about if everybody came together and shared communities, and so that we don't have everybody fragmented? So that's the goal anyway.
It's a lot of ambition there, and I hope it goes well. And certainly I think the Sydney event's going to keep getting a lot more traction. It was a really good show down there. I have to say again, I'm going to finish by saying thank you again for getting us involved, having us over here, and getting us here to do this. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of great chats. We've got some more this afternoon. If there's anyone who wants to talk to you about the community, I'm guessing LinkedIn is a good place to find you. Yeah,
LinkedIn, Facebook, email, whatever. 727. No, I better not give up my. I'm usually pretty. It's the only number I use at the bottom of my email signature, so I'm pretty free giving it away. To be truthful with it, and I don't mind. But email, LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're easy to find on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That'd be my go-to.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Been a great chat.
Thank
I'll
you for
catch you again before we head off.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
Right.
So just prior to that conversation with Greg, I'd been in a Chief Revenue Officer breakout, and I was in there with a number of other MSPs, and we're all talking about the same sort of problems: how to better convert sales qualified leads, how to drive recurring revenue. And it's so useful because you're all dealing with the same problems. You're not talking across industries or across sectors or even across roles. And for me personally, I got a hell of a lot out of it. So again, my challenge would be, off the back of that conversation, have a think about how you could work with the businesses that you're up against or working alongside, and use that setting, that commonality to grow your business and do what you do better. Also, of course, if you liked what you saw there and you'd like to keep up to date with the other content that we create, please go to firstfocus.com.au/insights, and you can subscribe there to be kept up to date as we release new episodes, which we are doing every week.